For years, she lay motionless, her world trapped in silence, her body still. But every morning, one man came to her bedside, whispered stories, laughter, and hope into her world of nothingness, until one day, her eyes opened, and the first word she spoke was his name. The ICU smelled of antiseptic and faint lavender, the kind the nurses sprayed to hide the scent of despair. Dr. Ethan Hale stood beside the hospital bed, gloved hands resting gently on the rail. The monitors beeped in soft rhythm, the only sign that the woman before him, Elena Montgomery, was still alive. 3 years. 3 long years since the car accident that had taken her parents and left her in a coma. Most doctors had stopped believing in miracles by now, but Ethan wasn't like most doctors. He came every morning, spoke to her, read her books, played music, and told her stories about the world outside. To everyone else, it was pointless. To him, it was hope. "Good morning, Elena," he said softly, adjusting her blanket. "The sun's out today. You'd like that. It's the kind of morning that deserves coffee and bad poetry." He chuckled to himself. "I still remember you used to hate mornings." He said it as if she could hear him, and maybe she could, because sometimes when he spoke her name, her heart monitor jumped. But then silence, always silence. Flashback, 2 years earlier. Ethan had first met Elena when she was alive, radiant, unstoppable, a young CEO of Montgomery Enterprises, a company her parents had built from nothing. She was smart, headstrong, always in control. They'd met during a charity event at the hospital, where she donated millions to expand the children's wing. She remembered her smile, confident, teasing. She told him she invested in people who don't give up easily. Now she was the one lying still, and he was the one refusing to give up. The world moves on. Months turned into years. Her family lost hope. Lawyers talked about ending her life support. But Ethan fought them every step of the way. "She's still responding," he'd argue. "Her neural patterns show activity when we talk. She hears us." They called him delusional. He didn't care. Every night he sat by her bedside, reading aloud. Sometimes he'd read poetry, sometimes newspapers, even gossip magazines, anything to keep her tethered to life. And then one night, it happened. He was half asleep in the chair when the heart monitor spiked. Her fingers twitched. Ethan's heart raced. He leaned forward. "Elena, can you hear me?" No response, just the faintest movement, but it was enough to make him believe harder than ever before. The miracle. 2 years later, on a quiet winter morning, something extraordinary happened. Ethan was talking, as always, telling her about a sunrise over the city. He reached for her hand, and her fingers squeezed back. He froze. "Elena!" Her eyes trembled. The monitor beeped faster. Slowly, painfully, her eyes fluttered open, blinking against the harsh hospital lights. When her gaze finally met his, time seemed to stop. He whispered, voice breaking, "You're awake." Her lips trembled. Her voice was weak, broken, but the words hit like lightning. You kept talking." Tears blurred his vision. "I told you I wouldn't stop." She smiled faintly, the first smile in years. "You never did." Recovery was slow but miraculous. She had to relearn how to speak, walk, and even write. But Ethan never left her side. Every day he pushed her wheelchair outside into the garden, describing the world she'd missed. New buildings, new songs, new stories. She listened like a child rediscovering life. One afternoon, as autumn leaves danced around them, she asked him, "Why did you stay here all this time?" He smiled sadly. "Because you asked me to once. You said you only trusted people who don't give up." Her eyes filled with tears. "You remembered that?" "I remembered everything about you." Love reborn. Months later, Elena regained full strength. The hospital threw a small celebration. Reporters came, calling it a medical miracle. But to her, the miracle wasn't waking up. It was the man who never stopped believing she would. That night, after everyone left, she found Ethan standing alone on the hospital roof, staring at the city lights. She walked up slowly. "You know," she said softly, "most people would have given up on me." He turned, smiling. "I couldn't." "Why not?" she asked. He hesitated, then said quietly, "Because somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you." Her breath caught. Tears welled in her eyes. "I think," she whispered, "I loved you too. Even when I couldn't move, I could hear you, Ethan, every day. Your voice kept me alive." He stepped closer, trembling, eyes glistening. "Say it again." She smiled through tears. "I heard you. I never stopped hearing you." He took her hand gently, and under the soft glow of the city, they kissed. Epilogue. Months later, they opened a new rehabilitation wing in her name, the Elena Foundation for Hope. Ethan and Elena stood side by side as the ribbon was cut, her hand wrapped around his. Miracles don't happen by chance. They happen when someone refuses to stop believing in you. And when she looked at Ethan, everyone in the room knew this was more than a recovery. It was a love story written in patience, faith, and endless devotion.
I am Liam, and trust me, the next HOA story is even worse. Subscribe now.